Welcome to NFL News, January 28th, 2026. The biggest story will be the Browns head coaching hiring plus Jim Schwartz future. And then we get some other news surrounding the Jets somehow hiring an unknown name of a defensive coordinator. Let's get to it. We'll start with the Browns hiring. So the Browns are hiring former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken as their next head coach. Monken has been to this organization before. He was the offensive coordinator for the Browns back in 2019 with Freddie Kitchens. But since he was out, he left to go to Georgia to become the offensive coordinator there. Two-time national champion, back-to-back with the Bulldogs. He left Georgia to go back to the NFL as an offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Tremendous success with Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense, but couldn't get over the hump to get to the Super Bowl. So Todd Monken, first things first for Browns fans, this should have been Jim Schwartz. In my opinion, it should have been Jim Schwartz. But to all the Browns fans, do you like the hire or do you rather have Jim Schwartz? Because yeah, Monken did success with quarterbacks, of course. I know he's done a lot of great things in his coaching career, including his success with Baker in Cleveland, Stetson Bennett in Georgia, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He's going to go to Cleveland, and he's going to try to do the same way he did with Lamar Jackson to Shedeur Sanders, who is now a Pro Bowl quarterback, which I don't know how he entered the Pro Bowl, but it's what the league says. It is what it is. That's going to be the question. How will Todd Monken have his connection with Shedeur Sanders, and who will he hire as his offensive coordinator? If he is going to call the plays, expect a young offensive-minded coordinator that's going to probably learn from Todd Monken to then one day, when Monken gives up the play calling, he's going to end up getting the play calling duties, the OC. So what's the defensive coordinator situation? Which, again, Jim Schwartz's future is in Cleveland. It's unclear. After the Browns defensive coordinator was visibly upset, also angered, saying goodbye to the people, learning he was passed over the head coaching job today. Schwartz, who is under contract, wants out of Cleveland. So where is the situation going to happen? Is Jim Schwartz going to return as the Browns defensive coordinator? If he does not return, it's a huge loss. Because look at Jim Schwartz's coaching stats with Cleveland. His resume with Cleveland. Last season, they were right behind Houston as the second best defense in the league. And the Browns organization thought, wait, Jim Schwartz is right there. We can just promote him. Instead, they went to a guy who knows the building, he knows the organization, has developed quarterbacks, and they bring in Todd Monken. This should have been maybe Jim Schwartz, the head coach, Todd Monken is the offensive coordinator. But again, we'll find out what's going to happen. I do believe he's going to end up leaving Cleveland. If he leaves Cleveland, if you're a defensive coordinating job, I would hire Jim Schwartz as your new defensive coordinator. But yeah, I think I heard in the text on my short video that it should have been Jim Schwartz. I believe it should have been Jim Schwartz. So with that being said, if I'm grading the hire, I'm going to give it a C+, but everyone will want to do a B- just because of the success he did with offensive quarterbacks. But for me, with the situation with Jim Schwartz, I would probably give it a B, just a B for Todd Monken. And as for Jim Schwartz, yes, I don't know how this situation is going on, and he's under contract. He's under contract with the Browns. And if he wants to move on, just move on with him, and that's it. And then hire a new defensive coordinator. That's it. All right, let's get to the others. So the Packers are hiring former Bills defensive coordinator Bobby Bichello as their new defensive pass game coordinator and secondary coach. Could have been a rising defensive coordinator in somewhere else, but maybe he needs to go somewhere where he's going to learn from a new DC, which is Jonathan Gannon, who's the new defensive coordinator for Green Bay, and then he's probably going to one day get a defensive coordinator job next by the time around. Jim Lenhart, the Broncos defensive pass game coordinator and assistant head coach, has completed an interview for the Chargers defensive coordinator. Now, Jim Lenhart is also a leading candidate for the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator job. If that happens, we'll see if Jim Leto does leave Denver. Of course, obviously Denver doesn't want to lose him because, they just fired Joe Lombardi after 3 seasons with the team. So we're looking at this as they're praying that he can stay, but I think Jim Lenhart is going to end up getting a defensive coordinator job. The New York Jets are hiring former Dolphins pass game coordinator and secondary coach. Let me get to the name. It is Brian Durker, who is now going to be the defensive coordinator for the Jets. Sorry, I forgot to write the name on my sheet, so went to find out his name. It is Brian Durker, who is going to be their next defensive coordinator. First things first for the Jets. What are we doing? What's going on? They fired Tanner Eggerson, which probably was too late. They could have probably fired him after their season was over. And then they makes sense they fire Steve Wilkes after the season was over. And then they hire Brian Durker to be their next defensive coordinator. Now, again, he's been a good coach, of course, a good pass game coordinator for the Dolphins, plus secondary coach, which he did a great job with the defensive backs, the safeties. This is a rising defensive coordinator, and he is going to have a lot of hands full. Now, will he get the defensive play calling, or will Aaron Glenn call the defense? Again, Aaron Glenn did not call the defense when Steve Wilkes was the DC, and he was the one who called the defense. So I do think Aaron Glenn is going to call the defense. I think Brian Durker is going to end up being like a backup package in case if Aaron Glenn doesn't feel confident of his defensive calls. All right, that's it for NFL news, January 28, 2026. This is as of recorded. Don't know what's going to happen later afternoon tonight. So if we do get a head coaching hire as of before this video is uploaded or after this video is uploaded, probably I'll do a short video tomorrow, or we'll find out what happens tomorrow for the head coaching jobs, which are now with 2 teams, the Cardinals and the Raiders. Yep. If you're not seeing my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news.